Hello everyone and welcome to the Juliet Hampton Morgan Memorial Library's Teen Talk Tuesday. Today I would like to read for you the first two chapters of The Last Cuentista by Donna, Barba, Higuera. My name is Mike and I hope you enjoy the show. The Last Cuentista. Chapter 1. Lita tosses another pinion log onto the fire. Sweet smoke drifts past us into the starry sky. Her knees crack as she sits back down on the blanket next to me. The cup of hot chocolate with cinnamon she's made me sits untouched this time. I have something I want you to take with you on your trip, Petra. Lita reaches into her sweater pocket. Since I won't be there for your 13th birthday. She holds out a silver pendant in the shape of a sun. Its center is filled with flat black stone. If you hold it up to the sun, its light glows through the obsidian. I take it from her hand and hold it up, but there is no sun. Only the moon. Sometimes I try to imagine I can see things I really can't. But I'm sure a faint glow filters through the middle of the stone. I move the pendant back and forth. It disappears completely when I move it too far from the center of my vision. When I look back, Lita is motioning to an identical pendant around her neck. You know, she says, Yucatecos believe obsidian holds power. A doorway to bring lost ones together. She purses her lips. Her brown skin wrinkles towards her nose, like cracked bark on a tree. They shouldn't force me to go, I say. You have to, Petra. Lita looks away for a long time before speaking again. Children are not meant to be separated from their parents. Your dad's parent. He should stay with you then. We all should. Even as I say it, I know I sound like a little kid. She laughs a deep, soft chuckle. I'm too old to travel so far. But for you, Dios mío, a new planet. How exciting. My chin trembles and I bury my head into her side, squeezing her around the waist. I don't want to leave you. Her stomach lowers in a deep sigh. Somewhere off in the desert behind Lita's house, a coyote howls, calling for its friends. As if on cue, the chickens cluck and one of her fainting goats bleats. You need a cuento, she says, referring to one of her tall tales. We lie back looking up at the night sky. The warm desert wind blows over us as Lita pulls me into the tightest hug ever. I never want to leave this spot. She points up at Halley's Comet. From here, it doesn't look so dangerous. Había una vez, she begins her story. A young fire snake, Nagual. His mother was Earth, his father the sun. A Nagual snake? I ask. But how can the sun and Earth be parents to something part human, part animal? Shh. This is my story. She clears her throat and takes one of my hands in hers. Fire Snake was angry. His mother, Earth, fed and nurtured him, but his father, the sun, stayed away. His father would bring crops, but he also brought great drought and death. One very hot day, as sun loomed over the Nagual, Lita waves her arms towards the heavens. He challenged his father. Even though his mother begged him to stay with her forever, the young fire snake sped off toward his father. Lita remains silent for a moment. I know the stall is part of her strategy to keep me in suspense. It works. Then what? She smiles and continues. With his tail flaming behind him, Fire Snake gained speed until he could not slow himself. But as he approached his father, Sun, he realized his mistake. His father's flames were far more powerful and stronger than anything else in the universe. The Nagual looped around his father, speeding back towards his home, but it was all too late. His father's fire had burned his eyes so he could no longer see. Lita clicks her tongue. Pobrecito. Blinded and moving so fast she could never slow down. Never able to find his mother. She sighs. Now comes the part in all her stories where her voice becomes lighter, like she's casually giving directions to the corner panaderia. So, every 75 years he retraces the journey, hoping to reunite with her. She points again at the fire snake, close enough to sense his mother, but never to embrace. Yes, except this time. She pulls me closer. In a few days, the fire snake will finally find his mother. Y colorín colorado, este cuento se ha acabado. She says, ending her cuento. I rub her hand over and over, memorizing her wrinkles. Who told you that story? Your grandma? Lita shrugs. She told me bits. I might have made most of it up. I'm scared, Lita, I whisper. She pats my arm, but for a moment, did you forget your troubles? I don't answer out of shame. Her story had made me forget. Forget about what could happen to her and everyone else. Don't be afraid, she says. I'm not. It's only the Nagual coming home. I glance up at Fire Snake in silence. I'm going to be just like you, Lita, a storyteller. She sits up, legs crossed, facing me. A storyteller, yes. It's in your blood. She leans in. But just like me? No, mija. You need to discover who you are and be that. What if I ruin your stories? I ask. Lita cups my chin in her soft brown hand. You can't ruin them. They've traveled hundreds of years and through many people to you. Now go make them your own. I think of Lita and her mother and her mother's mother, how much they knew. Who am I to follow them? I clutch the pendant in my hand. I'll never lose your stories, Lita. You know, the planet you are going to will have a son or two also. She taps her pendant with her fingernail. Look for me when you arrive. My lower lip quivers and tears fall down my face. I can't believe we're leaving you. She wipes a tear from my cheek. It's impossible for you to leave me. I'm part of you. You're taking me and my stories to a new planet and hundreds of years into the future. How lucky I am. I kiss her cheek. I promise I'll make you proud. Gripping my obsidian pendant. I wonder if Lita will watch the fire snake through smoky glass when he finally reunites with his mother. Chapter 2. The shuttle from Santa Fe to the launch site in San Juan National Forest near Durango takes less than 2 hours. A half hour of that time was filled with a speech from Dad explaining to Había and me how we needed to stop squabbling, be kind, and work hard. It seemed weird to me that the government specifically chose Colorado Forest instead of a military base, but when I see the secluded roads and kilometers of dense forests, I understand. Even 3 massive interstellar colonization ships meant for the exodus off Earth could get lost out here. Pleiades Corp designed these luxury vessels to take rich people across the galaxy in comfort. I'd seen their mega screen advertisements along hoverways showing a ship's 5-star hotel interior, chandeliers, Pleiades Corp's signature color, royal purple, illuminating the faces of actors in fancy clothes, holding martini glasses and smiling as they stared out at a fake nebula. A man with a voice like he gargled avocado oil each morning, speaking over a tinkling piano. Pleiades Corporation, reimagining what you thought interstellar travel would be. Luxury living among the stars, reserved only for the adventurous elite. I think of what the ships are now. Those people on the mega screen with the bleach-toothed smiles are nothing like us, scientists, terraformers, and leaders the government thought deserved to live more than others. And how did my family make the cutoff? How did those government politicians choose? What if Mom and Dad had been older? How many of those politicians got a fast pass? It feels wrong to be sneaking off Earth while so many are left behind. They don't even inform my parents of our destination until the day before. Dad says Pleiades has been storing their ships in a massive underground facility at the old Denver airport. They weren't supposed to leave Earth on their first official trip for another 2 years. The maiden test flights into nearby space a few months earlier had been successful. But because we're now leaving so suddenly, this will be the first interstellar journey. If a solar flare hadn't shifted the comet off course a week earlier, we'd be watching Fire Snake harmlessly pass Earth in a few days, just like it had since the beginning of time. The departure facility isn't more than old converted ranger stations beyond some gates to the national park. I try not to think about what I saw at the front entrance. From the station, we're instructed to take a trail into the forest with other passengers. More families gather just behind ours, waiting for their turn to hike to the ship. The grove of aspen and pine trees filter the sunlight like the Jonah and the whale stained glass panel at church. I jump at the outburst of a baby bird chirping above our heads. I look up and see a mama barn swallow skitter off from her nest for more food. The baby's cheeps go quiet as soon as she leaves. The mama bird doesn't know that all her work is a waste of time. I train my narrow vision on the tiny heads peeking over the edge of the nest. At first, I feel sorry for them, so small and defenseless. But then I realize, in a way, the birds are the lucky ones. They'll never know what hit them. We continue to the ship along the path that could be any hiking trail. It's the least official exodus off Earth you could imagine. My parents told me that tracking showed too many fringe and conspiracy groups suspecting something was up out here. Turns out they were right. My little brother Había skids to a stop when we emerge from the camouflage of the cedar canopy to an open field of green. A monstrous ship resembling a stainless steel and crystal praying mantis comes into view. Petra? He clenches my wrist. At the opposite end of the field sits an exact replica of our ship. So far away it looks half the size of the behemoth in front of us. With only 2 ships left, I know one has already gone. Dad said they lost contact with the final ping, when the final ping came as they approached the Alpha Centauri. It's okay, I urge Había on, even though I want to turn back to the forest too. I think of Lita and my teachers and my classmates, and I wonder, what are they doing right now? I don't want to imagine them being so afraid they'd try to hide from something they can't hide from. Instead, I picture Lita and Tia Berta lying under the red and black fringed blanket, drinking coffee with secret sauce as they watch the Nagual snake come home. Berta, this isn't the time to be stingy. Lita would tip the brown glass bottle, pouring rich liquid of the same color into her coffee cup. I suppose you're right, Tia Berta replies. We won't have another Christmas to keep this for. And Lita will make an even bigger pour into Tia Berta's cup. They'll clink their clay mugs, take a long drink, and lean back shoulder to shoulder against Tia Berta's 100-year-old pecan tree. This is the story my mind will keep of them. Before my parents were chosen, lots of people had already started looting. When I asked Mom why they bothered, when all the stuff would be gone soon, her eyes filled with tears. People are afraid. Some will do things they never thought they were capable of. We're in no position to judge anyone. I still don't understand how some people are so calm and others so rioting. I'm supposed to feel happy my parents were chosen to go to the new planet Sagan, but I feel that I've been given the last glass of water on Earth and I'm just gulping it down while everyone watches. I look up at the comet and wince. I hate you. Like ants on an orderly march to our hole, my family and I walk quietly across the grass field with several scientists and one other family with a blonde teenager. As we get closer, instead of the cement commercial launch pad that I expected, there's just freshly cut grass. Mom speaks quietly. You won't even know any time has passed when we're up there. There's nothing to be nervous about. When I look over, I catch her scrunching her eyes tight and shaking her head like that will somehow make all of this go away. And when we arrive to Sagan, she continues, we'll start over, like on a farm. There will be others around your age, too. She can't make this any better. I don't want new friends, ever again. I even had to set Rapido loose behind Lita's house. Maybe my tortoise will somehow survive the comet's hit deep within his burrow and live a life without me. This is stupid, I mumble. Maybe I should just tell them about my eyes so they won't let us on the ship. Mom and Dad exchange a glance. Mom takes me by the elbow and pulls me aside. She smiles at the other family as they pass. What are you doing, Petra? I feel tears rising up. What about Lita? It's like you don't even care. Mom closes her eyes. I can't tell you how hard this is for all of us. She lets out a breath and then looks at me. I'm sorry for how this is hurting you, but this is not the time. When will be the time? I say too loudly. Hundreds of years from now when she's already gone? The blonde boy now ahead of us glances back. His dad elbows him and he turns back around. Petra, we can't know exactly what will happen. Mom glances fervently to the other families. She grabs her braid and twists it in her hand. I think you're lying. Mom glances at Dad and lays her hand on my arm. In this moment, Petra, the world does not revolve around you. Have you thought of how others might be feeling? I almost say the world might not revolve at all anymore, but my arm vibrates. I look over and see Mom trembling. She points back in the direction we came. Did you notice the people waiting outside the gates? I look away. I don't want to remember the woman pulling off her wedding ring and pushing her baby forward towards the armed guard. Please, please, she mouthed over and over. As we drove right through the gates. Just like the tracking had predicted, the young family and hundreds of others had somehow figured out the government was hiding something. They'd give anything to be on board with us. Mom leans down, her eyes boring into me. Do you want to leave? I think of the mom with her baby, and if I never saw Dad or Mom or Javier ever again. No, I answer. A woman and a young girl approach holding hands. The girl has a silver spiraled horn jutting up from the top of her hoodie. As they pass, she makes an obvious head turn and stares at me suspiciously. Suma, shh! Her mother whispers, and the girl looks away. Mom glances in their direction, and I know she's seen them watching us too. So can you please keep your opinions to yourself for now? Mom walks ahead and marches right past Dad and Javier. Dad raises his eyebrows at me and motions with his head, and with that, I know even he's had enough. Javier runs back to me, nearly tripping on a rock in the path. He falls into me and I pull him up to a stand. He takes my hand. It's okay, he says, just like I said to him a moment earlier. This time he urges me along. I take a deep breath as we approach the entrance ramp of the praying mantis ship. Its front end, the size of a soccer field, looms over us. Windows around the front section look like its mouth is cracked open, bearing long teeth between the top of its head and the bottom of its jaw. Two hind legs hinge onto the field, anchoring it in place. In the distance, tiny specks enter the belly of the other bug ship, set to leave shortly after us. Javier points to two oval wing-like compartments at the back of our ship. Is that where we'll be? He asks. Dad nods. It's bigger than my school, Javier whispers. Yep, Mom fake smiles like she's trying to convince him that we're going to Disneyland again. Very few ships can carry so many people so far away. And we'll be asleep? He asks. Just like a nap, Mom says. The nap, and what it will give us, is the only bright spot. But unlike Javier's 30-minute cat naps, this sleep will last 380 years. And that was the first two chapters of The Last Cuentista by Donna, Barba, Higuera. This has been Mike Breen with the Montgomery City County Public Library, Juliet Hampton Morgan Branch, for Teen Talk Tuesdays. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and have a good day.